Hi, I'm Christopher Hine, and today we're going to be making a video talking about the third of the classical weapons in Aikido. So if you've been studying Aikido very long, you probably know that there are three classical weapons we talk about: the Jo, the Bokken, and the Tanto. But if you've done Aikido for any length of time and you've seen a fair amount of the syllabus, for most schools of Aikido, there's a fair amount of Jo work, there's a fair amount of Bokken work, but there's hardly any Tanto work. And so you're probably saying, where is all this Tanto work that supposedly we do? Because it's not comparable in syllabus to the Bokken and the Jo. The truth is, everything we do in Aikido is actually Tanto work. And I'm going to get Josh over here and we're going to talk about how that looks today. I'm going to show you some popular Aikido techniques and I'm going to show you how that's actually a Tanto technique in one way or another. So I'm going to call Josh over here, we're going to go to work. Josh? All right, so let's talk about the Tanto techniques in Aikido. And in the teaser, I said that all the techniques are Tanto techniques, and that's really, really true. And that's true because you have to understand that all the techniques in Aikido's technical syllabus for Kumiuchi, struggling methods, are built around Jujutsu, and Jujutsu is built around small arms work. So you can use slightly larger arms work. So of course you could use spears and you could use swords, which are slightly longer. But really the idea of Jujutsu is we're in close and we're struggling over small weapons, little weapons, like knives, okay? A lot of the times when you see Aikido techniques, if you think they're unarmed techniques, it will be confusing. And if you understand that they're armed techniques, it will not be confusing. And a lot of times I think when I say that, people say, well, there really aren't that many armed techniques in Aikido. Every technique is a small arms technique, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's look at the basic attacks we start from, right? So the Shomanuchi position, actually let's go to this side. The Shomanuchi position is a super common position to start from in Aikido. It's one of the most common positions. Okay, now that's super utilitarian position because if this guy was attacking me with a small arm overhead, like cutting me or stabbing me, bang like that, okay, and I did this, we are now in the Shomanuchi position. This is a super common thing to happen. Let's say I need to use a knife on this guy. When I come down and he defends, we are in the Shomanuchi position. So the Shomanuchi position is a position seen a lot in Aikido because when you have a small thing in your hand that you're coming down at them with, right, and that of course could be anything, but a knife is like the ultimate small thing, right? So it's better than a rock or a little stick because it does more work than those things. So the ultimate small object is definitely dealt with in that Shomanuchi fashion. Okay, now what about Yokomanuchi? Now when we see it unarmed, of course this looks kind of dumb to us, but when you realize that if I'm going like this and cutting that carotid, that's all of a sudden a very sensible technique, right? So when he comes in with that, what do? I do this, which really is just an inside variation of this. So if he's coming outside like that, we look like this. If he's coming inside, we look like this. So look at these positions, right? This is also why we don't formally talk about Gyaku Yokomen. So regular Yokomen's this, boom, Gyaku Yokomen's this, but Gyaku Yokomen, when I defend that, is a Shoman position. Versus if it's a regular Yokomen, it's a new position. It's a slightly different position we see from this, right? So this is, again, a weapon technique. All right, now what about ski? So ski, it's okay. Ski is a big, dumb punch, right? So who punches like that? No one. But understand in the Aikido syllabus, I'm always trying, switch to the other hand for me. I'm always trying to stay away from this guy. And so ideally, he's getting super frustrated and he'll lunge in. And that lunge in is what sets up all of those kinds of techniques from ski. So our three strikes are weapon strikes. They're Tanto strikes, small arms strikes. Shoman, Yokomen, and ski. And that's why we have that setup for techniques. Okay, now let's look at all the wrist grabbing stuff, right? So if, actually, yeah, we'll have him. So Josh is going to be the Nage. So in this, if I grab this guy like this because he's going to stab me, there's our Katate Dori. If he switched and I switched, there's our Gyakute Dori. If I tried to take advantage of this and go 2-on-1, there's our Marote Dori. If he switched again and I go over and I don't want him to keep switching, there's our Ryote Dori. And you can see the progression, and I've made videos on this before. So I want you to see that those attacks all exist because there's a small arm in play. So all of the Aikido attacks come from small arms. Now what about the actual techniques themselves, right? So let's get into a technique. Let's look at the technique for Shomanuchi Ikkyo Omote Waza. All right, now, if this guy's got the knife and he comes in here, what do I want to do? Well, I would like to get this guy away if I have a superior weapon. So if I bump him here and can draw my weapon, there we see how the technique of Ikkyo Omote is immediately used for this knife. What about Ikkyo Ura? we come in and I try to bump him and he's too strong, so I go behind him in order to draw my weapon and use my weapon. So there again, we're seeing small arms used. There are two of the classic techniques we see in Aikido that come from that. Okay, now, what if this guy were, I was to use the knife on this guy, and sorry, I'm trying to figure out the best angle. So here, I come up here and he defends me like this. What do I want to do? Well, I want to control this arm so I can get in here and stab him with this one. What if he grabs my hand so I can't get in there and stab him? Well, I push him down so I can get him into a position to take my weapon out, right? And that could go all the way down to the ground where he's got a hold of me so I can't use that weapon, right? What if I'm going to draw my weapon here and he grabs my hand like this? Again, here's our ikkyo. But what if I can't get his hand up because he's too strong? Well, now we see all of these outside techniques like our kotegaishi, because when he comes around, not only does he get kotegaishi, but he gets cut as well. So every single technique we do in Aikido, we can do with a weapon in our hands. And it will make them more natural than it is unarmed. So when you see them armed, you'll go, oh yeah, of course, these are the logical progressions you should make. However, when we see them unarmed, you go, well, why did you grab that way? And why did he hit that way? And then why is he moving that direction? And what's going on there? And there's a lot of confusion when you see it without the weapon. But when you instantly understand that all techniques in Aikido are based around a knife or a greater weapon, then you say, oh, I see why the Tanto is one of the 3 weapons included in Aikido. So I hope this helped you guys. There are several tricky techniques out there, and if you find any, leave it in the comments below and I'll show you how it actually works, because you will find a few techniques that it doesn't make any sense, because you'll try. I recommend everyone try all their techniques with a knife in their hand. And there's a few that you're going to try and you're going to say, oh, this is kind of weird. This doesn't work out right. Leave a comment below, because there's about 4 pretty big ones, popular ones, that you'll find weird, and I'll explain those once you find them. I'm Christopher Hine. This is Joshua Teehee, Maya Solana McDaniels behind the camera. Thanks for watching.